A wave does not apologize for rising. It does not resist its own nature. It swells, it crashes, it dissolves back into the ocean. And yet when we feel anger or sadness or fear, we clench our fists and tell ourselves we should not feel this way. We stand at the shoreline of our own hearts and shout at the waves to stop coming. This is where our suffering begins, not in the feeling itself, but in the war we wage against it. Negative emotions are not the enemy. They are messengers. They arrive at the door of your awareness, carrying information about your inner world, about unmet needs, about boundaries crossed, about grief unprocessed. When you refuse to open the door, when you pretend no one is knocking, the messenger does not leave. It knocks louder. It becomes the anxiety that wakes you at 3 in the morning. It becomes the irritation that spills over onto people you love. It becomes the heaviness that colors every moment of your day. The emotion you resist becomes the emotion that persists. There is an ancient teaching that says suffering is not the pain itself, but the resistance to pain. When you touch a hot stove, your hand pulls back instantly. There is no thought, no negotiation, no story. The body responds and moves on. But emotional pain we hold on to. We replay the conversation that hurt us. We rehearse our anger. We wrap our sadness in layers of judgment and shame. And then we wonder why it feels so heavy. We make a temporary visitor into a permanent resident. I want to tell you a story. There was once a student who came to his teacher in great distress. He said, "Master, I am filled with anger. I have tried to meditate it away. I have tried to think positive thoughts. I have tried to ignore it, but it only grows stronger. What am I doing wrong?" The teacher looked at him with gentle eyes and said, "You are trying to empty the cup by covering it with your hand. First, you must look inside and see what the cup contains. This is the first step in dealing with negative emotions. Not managing them, not fixing them, not making them go away, but meeting them, turning toward them with the same curiosity you would bring to a stranger at your door. When anger arises, instead of immediately labeling it as bad or wrong, you pause, you take a slow breath, you say internally, anger is here, not I am angry, which makes the emotion your identity, but anger is here, which creates a small space between you and the feeling. In that space, everything changes. Because when you stop resisting, when you stop trying to push the emotion away, something remarkable happens. The emotion begins to reveal itself. Anger, when you look closely, is often fear in disguise. Fear of being hurt, fear of losing control, fear of not being valued. Sadness, when you sit with it without judgment, often holds the shape of love. You grieve because you cared. You feel loss because something mattered. Anxiety, when you meet it with gentle attention, is often your system trying to protect you, trying to prepare you, trying to keep you safe in the only way it knows how. Your emotions are not random storms. They are intelligent responses. Your body and mind are doing exactly what they were designed to do, which is to alert you when something needs attention. The problem is not the alarm. The problem is that we have learned to smash the alarm instead of investigating the fire. So let us talk about how to investigate, how to turn toward the fire without being consumed by it. This is not about wallowing. This is not about indulging every feeling and letting it run your life. This is about bringing mindful awareness to your inner experience. It is a skill, and like all skills, it requires practice. When a negative emotion arises, the first thing to do is name it. Research shows that simply labeling an emotion reduces its intensity. This is because naming engages the thinking part of your brain, which helps regulate the emotional part. So you say, this is anxiety, this is grief, this is frustration. You do not say it harshly. You say it the way you would identify a bird in the forest, with interest, with presence. Then you locate it in your body. Emotions are not abstract concepts floating in your mind. They are physical sensations. Anger might be a tightness in your jaw or heat in your chest. Sadness might be a heaviness behind your eyes or a hollowness in your belly. Anxiety might be a racing heart or shallow breath. When you bring your attention to the physical sensation, you anchor yourself in the present moment. You move out of the story your mind is telling about the emotion and into the direct experience of it. And here is where the transformation happens. When you feel the sensation without layering thought on top of it, without making it mean something about you or your life, the sensation begins to shift. Not because you are trying to make it shift, but because all sensations are temporary. They rise and they fall. They tighten and they release. This is their nature. You are not doing anything to them. You are simply giving them space to move through you. Think of your body as the sky and your emotions as weather. Clouds come and go. Rain falls and stops. The sun sets and rises. The sky never rejects the weather. It does not say, "No storms allowed today." It simply allows whatever arises to arise and whatever passes to pass. You can be the sky. You can hold your emotions without becoming them. But I know this is not always easy. Some emotions feel too big to hold. Some pain feels unbearable. In those moments, you do not have to do this alone. You can place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. This simple gesture activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of you that knows how to soothe and calm. You can speak to yourself the way you would speak to a frightened child. I am here. You are safe. This feeling will not last forever. You offer yourself the compassion you would offer to anyone you love who is struggling. There is a practice in some traditions called making space for the guest. You imagine your heart as a large room. Every emotion that arrives is a guest. Some guests are pleasant, some are difficult. But as the host, you do not turn anyone away. You open the door. You acknowledge their presence. You offer them a seat. You do not cling to them when they decide to leave. This is how you build a different relationship with your inner life, not through control, but through hospitality. Now, let us talk about what happens when you do this over time. When you stop avoiding your emotions, when you stop judging them, when you start meeting them with presence, something shifts in the fabric of your experience. You begin to notice that emotions move much faster than you thought they did. A wave of anger that felt like it would swallow you whole actually passes in a few minutes if you let it. A moment of deep sadness, when you truly feel it without resistance, can release and leave you feeling clearer, lighter, more open. You also begin to trust yourself more, because you realize you can handle your own feelings. You do not need to numb them with distractions. You do not need to push them away with substances or busyness. You do not need to project them onto other people. You have the capacity to be with whatever arises. This is not weakness. This is profound strength. And here is the deeper truth. When you stop running from your negative emotions, you also become more available for your positive ones. Joy, when it comes, feels fuller because you are not guarding against its opposite. Love feels deeper because you are not afraid of loss. Peace feels more real because you have made friends with discomfort. You cannot selectively numb emotions. If you close yourself off to sadness, you also close yourself off to delight. If you refuse anger, you also refuse passion. The heart that can hold pain is the same heart that can hold beauty. This does not mean you seek out suffering. It does not mean you create drama or dwell in negativity. It means you stop pretending that life should only feel good. You stop measuring your worth by how happy you are in every moment. You recognize that a full human life includes the entire spectrum of feeling, and that spectrum is not a problem to be solved. It is the richness of being alive. There is a moment in every meditation practice where the mind wanders and you bring it back to the breath. That moment of noticing, that gentle return, that is the practice. It is not about having a mind that never wanders. It is about building the muscle of awareness, the capacity to notice when you have drifted and to come back without judgment. Dealing with negative emotions is the same. You will drift into resistance. You will judge yourself for feeling what you feel. You will try to push the emotion away, and then you will notice, and you will come back. You will place your hand on your heart. You will take a slow breath. You will say, "It is okay. I am here. This is just a feeling moving through." That moment of return is where your power lives. Let me share one more thing with you. There is a difference between feeling your emotions and being ruled by them. Feeling anger does not mean you lash out. Feeling sadness does not mean you cannot function. Feeling fear does not mean you cannot move forward. You can hold the emotion and still choose your response. You can acknowledge the feeling and still act from your values. This is emotional maturity. This is what it means to be both tender and strong. In fact, when you allow yourself to fully feel an emotion, you often find that the impulse to react in harmful ways dissolves. The anger that wants to attack, when felt deeply, often transforms into clear boundary setting. The anxiety that wants to avoid, when met with presence, often reveals the next right step. The sadness that wants to collapse, when held with compassion, often opens into a deeper connection with what matters most. Your emotions, when given space, become allies instead of adversaries. So here is the practice I offer you. The next time a negative emotion arises, do not run, do not fix, do not judge. Simply pause. Place your awareness on the sensation in your body. Breathe into that place. Say to yourself, this is a feeling. It is here. It is okay. Stay with it for just a few breaths. You are not trying to make it go away. You are simply acknowledging its presence. You are opening the door to the messenger. And if the emotion feels too big, if it overwhelms you, that is information too. It might mean you need support. It might mean there is something that needs to be addressed in your life. Feeling your emotions does not mean you do it alone. Reach out to a friend, speak to a guide or counselor, write in your journal, move your body, do what helps you metabolize the feeling. But do not abandon yourself. Do not tell yourself you are weak for struggling. You are human, and being human includes the full range of what can be felt. Over time, this practice will change you. Not because you become someone who never feels negative emotions, but because you become someone who is not afraid of them. You become someone who can hold joy and sorrow in the same hand. You become someone who knows that feelings are temporary visitors, not permanent truths. You become someone who trusts the wisdom of your own heart. And in that trust, you will find a kind of peace that does not depend on circumstances. A peace that remains even when life is difficult. A peace that comes from knowing you can meet whatever arises with presence and compassion. This is the deepest teaching. Not that life should be easy, but that you are capable of being with life exactly as it is. There is no finish line in this work. There is no day when you graduate from feeling difficult emotions. But there is a profound shift available, from resisting to allowing, from judging to accepting, from fighting to flowing, from seeing emotions as problems to seeing them as part of the beautiful, messy, sacred experience of being alive. So the next time the wave rises, do not fight the ocean. Let it move through you. Let it teach you. Let it remind you that you are vast enough to hold it all. You are the sky, not the weather. You are the space in which all feelings arise and pass. And in that space, there is room for everything. There is room for your anger and your love, your fear and your courage, your grief and your joy. There is room for all of you. Take a slow breath now. Feel your body. Notice this moment. You are here. You are alive. And whatever you are feeling, it is okay. You do not have to fix yourself. You do not have to be anywhere other than where you are. This is enough. You are enough. Today, may you meet yourself with the tenderness you deserve. May you hold your heart with gentle hands. And may you remember that every emotion, even the difficult ones, is a thread in the tapestry of your becoming.